Hi, I'm Tim Bartz, Internet Sales Manager here at McArthur Ford in Salina, Kansas. And in this video we have recorded, it was actually recorded during our live stream that we do this last Tuesday. So, we do a live stream every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central, when we go over scheduling information, dealer news updates, recalls, and usually have a topic of the week and some other things. But more importantly, we answer your questions live, the community's questions. So we usually have about a couple hundred people in there each week that are watching this live and asking us questions about their order or, how they should order their vehicle and that kind of thing. And that's what we're here for, is to help you answer any questions. So if you want to join us live, and if you have any questions about scheduling, we can answer them live for you. Also, if you drop them down below, we'll try to get those responded as well. But feel free to come back next week. Again, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central, if you want to join us live and ask your question, and we can answer your individual question if it hasn't been answered in the past. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video, and I hope to see you next week. All right, so scheduling for this week, of course, this is for scheduling for Thursday, August 1st. And this is still using allocations from July that dealers received for production dates in September. And we'll talk about what dates they're scheduling for, or some models may not schedule. If they scheduled most of their production for those months already, then they won't schedule. So there's a couple models that are not scheduling. In fact, quite a few. Wow. Quite a few, but we'll also get at the end, we'll have a second part of this where we'll talk about what's scheduling for next month, because that's coming up in just a couple weeks. And I'll talk about that deadline a lot when we get to that here in just a little bit as well. So first, get in the terminology so you know exactly what we're talking about here if you're new. There we go. So what we're talking about here is when you have an order put into the order bank, which is the first term. That is where dealer places all the stock and retail orders. Those are done in that order bank. So they can put in as either a retail or a stock order. A retail order is that order that's placed by a customer. So Ford deems that order as being one that's available, or that's a priority. They'll give it anywhere from priority 3 to priority 19 by the dealer. And so they can prioritize their orders. And then stock orders are orders placed by the dealer for stock or lot inventory. So if they have no retail orders, they need stock orders because they'll still get allocations, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So we're talking about in these videos is what's going to be scheduled this week for production dates in the future. So they'll schedule that order for a production date, either scheduled to the week first, and then as it gets closer, they'll get scheduled down to a day of the week. And sometimes those production dates and weeks will move around depending on if they need to make some changes because of any kind of plant issues or anything, or supply issues. Now, allocations, we talk about that a lot because like an allocation, Ford gives dealers an allocation to schedule their orders. So, and a dealer earns those allocations based on their sales volume. So just because a dealer has 10 orders doesn't mean they're going to get 10 allocations to fulfill those retail orders. They're going to get allocations based on how well they sell vehicles in certain models. So they'll get a different amount of allocations for each different model because they may do well with one model and not with another. And so that's how they'll get those allocations. So, and an order cannot be scheduled without an allocation. So as I mentioned, if there was 10 orders at a dealer, they would need 10 allocations to get them all scheduled in that month. If not, then that order will sit there and wait until they do have an allocation. So it's very important to find a dealer that has ready allocations available before maybe placing that order. And that might have that conversation you should have with them. Constraints, that is options that may be in short supply or take longer to build. We'll talk about limited availability. We'll talk about exhausted and how that works in the video. So in limited availability means that option or whatever it might be very limited, but it can still be scheduled. Exhausted can still be scheduled, but it's going to be they're almost out of that particular option or part or whatever it might be. And then balance out, which we'll talk about, is actually when they're completely done with that and they're not going to schedule anymore at all. So that's kind of the breakdown of some of those. Now, capacity, that is the planned production rate of a certain model, trim, and that kind of thing. And then job 1 and job 2, they will separate the jobs into 2 different job numbers, which if you check out our live stream tomorrow night, we'll actually talk about job 2 for the Maverick and where that sets from job 1. But they'll start something with job 1, and then when they ready to introduce something else, they'll make that a job 2, so they don't have to wait until the next model year. All right, here you go. There's that. Okay, of course, if you have any questions about any of that terminology, if you're watching this live, drop it down there. If you're watching the recorded version, put it in the comments and we'll respond to that as well. All right, let's start off with 24 Mustang. Sorry, it's first on the list. Order banks are still open up for not only the 24 model year, but also they're now open up for the 25 model year. So, and you might ask why? Well, 25 model year, they need some orders in there before they can start scheduling. So they usually will open that up about a month before they start scheduling the 25 model year. And then, but in that meantime, we can still schedule 24 model years. So having retail orders in there allows for dealers to be able to have orders to use those allocations for. And so there's also stock orders available for both those as well. Now, Dark Horse is one that is closed out. So they are not taking any more retail orders for 24 model year Dark Horse, but you can place them for a 25 model year Dark Horse. But talk to your dealers before you do that, because like we get one Dark Horse allocation for the entire 2025 model year. So some dealers might be very restricted as well on that. And so there's no point in putting in a second order at that dealer if they're only going to get one allocation. So go find another dealer. They also told us 60th anniversary edition will be a very limited production and available in only 3 colors: Wimbledon white, race red, and vapor blue. So that's a note we got today. There's currently 1,105 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank for the Mustang, and this week they are not going to be scheduling for production dates. So, all right. Next up is the 25 model year Escape, and the order banks are open up for the 25 model year. 24 is done, and they've already scheduled all of the orders and everything. So now they're starting with 25 model year Escape. They're not scheduled this week, and they currently have 121 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. All right. 25 model year Bronco Sport. Let's talk about order banks. Order banks are open up right now for 24 model year, and they are closing soon. So they are going to be closing the retail orders. That's a customer placed order on August 8th. But they were going to leave the stock available until September 5th. Because again, if dealer has an allocation, they don't have a retail order, they need to place a stock order. So that gives the dealers availability to do that. Now, it also says in here that the retail order bank for the 2025 model year, as well as the stock, will open up August 26th. So that's the date for order bank to open up for 25 model year. We haven't seen a reveal on that yet. I think they're going to be doing a reveal. I'm trying to get information on that, but I have no information of when that might be or anything else like that. Now, for the scheduling for this week, there's currently only 49 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank, by the way. And on the Bronco Sport, they are scheduling this week for production weeks in September. So weeks of September 2nd through the weeks of September 23rd. And if you get scheduled, it could be any of those weeks. It's really up to Ford of filling in what the slot works for them. Cleanup scheduling, so that means that they're trying to fulfill anybody's unscheduled allocations. So if we have allocations haven't been used, they want to fulfill those for dealers and not have to carry those over to the next month. So they want to try to do that. So what they'll sometimes do is pump in some stock orders of what they know they can make for those dealers that have an open allocation. It does say that they are requiring that they need orders for the 2.0 gas engine, which is Badlands only. So they need some Badlands orders, which is the first time we've seen that in a long time, because they've been constrained on that. But right now, they need Badlands orders, which is great. So let us order. Usually can't order a stock Badlands. So, but anyway, if you need a Bronco Sport Badlands, I can tell you it'll probably get scheduled pretty quickly as long as the dealer has an allocation. Limited availability for the 17-inch carbonized gray painted high gloss aluminum wheel. That's the one that's standard on the Big Ben. Also, exhaust availability for the 1.5 liter EcoBoost engine. So now you can see why they needed 2.0 orders. Also, exhaust availability for the Copilot 360 Assist package, which is available on all versions. Wish I could say that for some other models. 18-inch machine face aluminum wheels, also exhaust availability. That's the ebony black painted. That's standard on the Outer Banks, as well as the tire that's standard on the Big Ben is exhausted. And we know that's the Continental tire that's also we see on the Maverick. So that's probably why you're going to see that. 18-inch machine face aluminum ebony painted black wheel, which is optional on the Big Ben. So a lot of these wheels, it's more the tire. Well, no, that's different. But anyway, balance out for 24 model year. They're done with this, and that is the black appearance package, which is optional on the Big Ben. So that is totally balanced out. Cannot order one anymore. So that's done. So, all right, that's Bronco Sport. Next, 24 model year Bronco. So order banks are open up for the 24 model year for about all trim levels, except for Heritage Edition. I believe, okay, so it's open for Everglades is done. It's been balanced out. So that's done. And then let me read this update here. It says effective from Tuesday, July 30th, 4 p.m. Dealers can put in. So a lot of times Ford will pump in some sim orders, and now dealers can actually make those a priority 99 if they want. So that way they can focus in on their other orders. But order banks are closed completely. Everglades is done. Also, Heritage Limited Edition is done as well. You can't schedule those. I think they're done scheduling Heritage Limited Edition altogether. You can, though, order a Heritage Edition two-door. So that's not the limited one. Heritage Edition two-door, you can place orders still for that. And then all the other trim levels as well. So no scheduling this week for the Bronco, though, and there's currently 823 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. All right. Next up is a 24 model year Mach-E. Order banks are open up for all trim levels, including GT, Rally, Select, Premium, all of them. They're currently only 50 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank for the Mach-E. And that's probably just dealerships that don't have allocations, I'd assume. There is not going to be any scheduled this week for the Mach-E, though. So nothing else to say there. 25 model year Explorer. Order banks are open up for the Explorer, and they currently have 237 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank, and they are not scheduling at the Chicago assembly plant either. There you go. Next up, 24 model year Expedition. Some news on this. Order banks are open up for the 24 model year Expedition. They will be closing in September. I found out. So 24 model year order bank closes sometime in mid-September. It does have a date in here of September 16th, but that could fluctuate and move around. And it does look like they're going to balance out the 24 model year very late, not until December. So, the plants usually will take the last 2 weeks of December off for vacation. And so the last day they're going to build an Expedition is like the last day probably they can build. They're going to build vehicles for the year. So it's Expedition 24 model year is going to produce through the end of the year, through December. So it does look like 25 model year production will start in January, but we won't see an Expedition on a dealer lot probably until March at the earliest, is what they're telling us. So they're advising dealers to get your orders in to carry you over, because the last 24 will be built in December with a January build date, but then you'll probably have 2 months where you won't have any vehicles arrive. So for Expedition, there's currently 247 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. And speaking of all that and needing to schedule, they're not scheduled this week. So there's that. All right. Next up is a 24 model year Maverick. So let's talk about that. Order banks are still open up for the 24 model year Maverick. Retail order banks are supposed to close August 8th. With the 25 model year retail orders opening August 1st, as well as stock ordering. Retail or stock orders for 24 are going to carry up and stay open till September 5th. So there is that overlap. So there's about a week overlap between 24 closing and 25 starting up. So you'll have both order banks open for about a week to be able to place those. So when you go into the dealers, you're wanting to place the Maverick order, you're going to need to tell them what model year you want to schedule it for. And some dealers, because in the past, usually once one model year opens, the other one can't be ordered. They may not even know that you can still order 24. So when they open up on Thursday, so you might have to educate them a little bit. There's currently 3,576 unscheduled retail orders. Only 3,500 orders unscheduled. That is awesome. 2,600 of those, 2,646 to be specific, are XL, which, in a certain year, if you look at it, they should be able to schedule all those. We're going to talk about that later. If you're watching the scheduled one, you'll want to go check out our live stream. We talk about 24 Maverick and what's the chances of them scheduling every order or not. And then there's only 107 Lariat orders in there and 823 XLT. So looks like they might be able to get them all scheduled this year. That's why private offers aren't going to be able to be available for 25 model year. They are scheduled this week. Cleanup scheduling for dealers that have allocations. We're one of those. We have 32 allocations available. So right at this point, I think we have one retail order. And that'll probably get scheduled. Other than that, it'll be a lot of stock orders scheduled. And so they're going to be needing to do that. So they are putting in some orders for dealers on XLT and Lariat versions. And they are scheduled for the weeks in September 2nd, the week of September 23rd, whatever works for them. They are needing XLT, EcoBoost, all-wheel drive orders with the FX4 tire and wheel. So if your dealer, pay attention to that, because they pumped in a bunch of XLT FX4 orders for us. That takes that vehicle price over $30,000 for us. So make note of that if you're a dealer. And also they put in some Lariat 2.0 EcoBoost all-wheel drive orders as well. And the reasoning behind that is what you'll see next is limited availability for the hybrid engine, but also limited availability for the bed extender. I always say take those off, and limited availability for the splash guards. Again, take those two off. If you have an unscheduled retail orders and you still have a bed extender or splash guards, then you haven't been following our live stream and you need to take those off. Take them off. You want to get a 24 order, you want to use that private offer, then just do it. Just cut the ties. Exhaust availability for the front wheel drive, the XL version, the black appearance package, which is optional on XLT and Lariat, the molded hard drop-in liner, that's the optional one, and the 17-inch carbonized gray painted aluminum wheel, and the tire that is standard on the XL and XLT. That is why Ford is pumping in orders for Lariat, which gets a bigger tire, right? And then also the FX4 is a different tire. So what the big constraint is right now, the biggest constraint for Maverick is the Continental tire they put on the 17-inch wheel that's standard on XL and XLT. So if you can change that wheel, and you do that by putting an FX4 package on there, gets a different wheel, or you go with the Lariat, gets a bigger tire. So that's how you can get an order scheduled quickly. Otherwise, we hope that Continental provides enough tires to take care of all these XL orders. So there you go. That's the skinny on that. All right, next up, 24 model year Ranger. Order banks are open up for the 24 model year Ranger right now. It looks like the Raptor is supposed to close tomorrow, 7/31. Non-Raptors are going to close in about a month, 8/28, it looks like. And then so that means 25 model year will be coming real soon. So there's currently 617 unscheduled retail orders for the Ranger, and they're not scheduled this week. So there's that. 24 model year Super Duty. Currently, the order banks are open up for the 24 model year. We don't know when they're going to close. Well, it does say in here it could be in October. So sometime in October, the 24 model year order banks might close, which is probably knowing also that that's about when probably the 25 model year order banks will open up. So we don't know a date on that. They haven't told us, but if they're going to close in October, then that means they're going to open the 25 probably prior to that, so probably early October. So there's some information on that we, again, educated guessing, and we can apply that stuff. Currently 13,046 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. They are scheduled this week at Kentucky for the weeks of 8/19 through 9/16, and Ohio for the week of 9/9. And again, they still need they need those orders for the 6.8 liter engine, so they can have production at its highest level and being able to produce all the Super Duties they want to, so they can keep that title for the most F-Series sold. And they also need some XLT and Lariat orders for the 7.3 liter engine without the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package. There you go. And then limited availability for the limited version, limited trim. Also for the fuel tank, that is option. See, the fuel tank that's included in the 7.3 liter V8 engine on the XL, XLT, or Lariat pickup or chassis cab, F350 for the F350s, 450s, 550s, and 600s. So that's kind of the biggest constraint there, it looks like. And then pickup box delete also is limited availability right now. Also, the wheel ornament that's available in the 2-wheel drive on the single rear wheel with the 10.5 axle size, that's also a constraint. And then the max recline seats. that's available on the King Ranch Platinum and Limited also is a limited availability. All right, so I have for that. Next up is a 24 model year F-150. Order banks are open up for stock ordering. Retail ordering, they're going to close on 8/2. So if you want to get an F-150 retail order for 24 model year, you got till the end of this week to get that in. And then 25 model year order banks are going to open up 8/26. That's going to be a busy day. Bronco Sport and F-150 order banks are going to open up that day. There's currently 5,963 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. They are scheduled this week for the week of 9/9. And they say heads-up display is restricted, and it's standard on most high series. So like the 402A, that's the Tremor 402A, Lariat 502A, and the Platinum 702 and 703A. That's going to hurt all those. So they're saying if you want a Tremor, Lariat, or Platinum, then switch to the 401A, 501A, or 701A. So and then dealers with Raptor allocation must submit a Raptor order in the mix of 30% 802A and 70% 801A. And in case you didn't know, the 802A is your Raptor 37. And it does say without the tonneau cover. So very specific there. This is without any of the tonneau covers. So I guess they must have some Raptor orders with the tonneau covers, and they can't schedule those. So if you have a Raptor allocation for dealers, and you have some people out there that may have only a Raptor 37 order with one allocation, well, what they're trying to do is get those dealers to flip that over to a regular Raptor, but that doesn't help a customer that has it. So I'd stick to that, because usually what will happen is that allocation, if you don't use it, will flip over and you'll have it next month to be used, and hopefully then they can get scheduled. They can schedule that order. It says key dates, order submission, August 2nd. Dealers have until then. Yeah, we already talked about that. Limit availability for the STX 201A tire. That's the 265/70 R18 all-terrain tire. That's the only limit availability on that, other than the heads-up display, of course. All right. Lastly, 24 model year Transit. Order banks are open up for the Transit right now. There are currently 4,304 unscheduled retail orders. They are scheduled this week for the week of 9/16. To increase chances of your orders being selected, please consider adding the 12-inch screen to your order. That's option either 58B or 58C or 58E or 58F, depending on the configuration. Transit orders with the Transit Trail will not be selected for scheduling this week. And then limit availability for the AM/FM stereo with the 4-inch multi-display. That's why they're asking you to go the 12-inch one, as well as the Sync 3 with the 4-inch multi-function display. Those both are limited. So again, go to that 12-inch screen. And then also 5th row double seat is also a constraint there too. So there you go. So there's that. But I do want to cover real quick as part of this scheduling notes for this week of what's happening in a couple weeks. So the week of the 12th of August is when new allocations will start. So you can see a lot of these factors are not scheduling because they pretty much have scheduled out for the month of September. And so they're ready to start scheduling for the month of October, which you get a new set of allocations for that. So here is the information and overview for schedule for those October build dates, and any other information for those for each of the models. And now they're not going to fall in line the same way I just went through on these. So we'll just go through based on this sheet here. 24 model year Mach-E. They will be scheduling for the Mach-E for 5 weeks of production in October. So the weeks of 9/30 through the weeks of 10/28. And then Mustang, 24 model year Mustang, is going to be balanced out scheduling for the Mustang for October dates. That's 5 weeks of production, the weeks of 9/30 through the week of 10/28. So that'll be the end of 24. And so the month after that will be when they start scheduling for 25. 25 model year Escape. They're going to be scheduled for 5 weeks of production for Escape and plug-in, 9/30 through 10/28, just like the others. It does have a note in here that the hybrid production is limited because of low supply of batteries. So keep that in mind. They're giving them all to the Maverick. Next is the 24 model year Bronco. They are 4 weeks of production for this, although they use the same dates, 9/30 through 10/28. So I don't know about that. It does say the launch of the all-new painted roof improves our hardtop production rate. So because they have the painted, then that makes it easier for them to do the other roofs as well. So that enhances their production. A 24 model year Bronco Sport, 5 weeks of production. This is balance out, October balance out for 24 model year, scheduling from 9/30 through 11/4, it says. So not only that week, but through the end of the week, actually. So yeah, anyway. All right, next up, 25 model year Explorer, scheduled for 5 weeks of production, 9/30 through 10/28. 24 Expedition is also scheduled for 5 weeks, 9/30 through 10/28, and or the weeks of 10/28. And then 24 Maverick, it is balance out, scheduling for October. So again, get those orders in, because there are a lot of retail orders that week of the 12th, 19th, 26th. That probably be the end of scheduling for 24 model year. So August is going to be it. So you want to get those orders in. That'll be balanced out for them as well, because they are going. The last day they're going to build a Maverick. It looks like it's 11/4. As well as Bronco Sport. So you want to get those in. It does in here make a note that Hermosillo plant is going to have 1 week of that'll be down. The plant will be down, and that's probably just normal maintenance. They do that on a lot of plants, but there's a note in here that includes 1 week of the plant being down. So that's why it has 5 weeks of scheduling. So anyway, so probably there's a week that they're down, so 5 weeks. That's why it's going through the week of 11/4. So, which originally said that the balance out was going to be 11/1. So it looks like they've moved that back, probably because they need to. 24 model year Ranger, it is scheduled for 5 weeks of production. Again, 9/30 through 10/28. 24 F-150 is October balance out. They are scheduling for 6 weeks at the Dearborn truck plant and 10 weeks at the Kansas City assembly plant. So the weeks of 10/14, it says, through 12/2. It does say in here, heads-up display is restricted and standard on all series. We talked about that earlier, switching to 401A, 501A, or 701A to get that scheduled. 24 model year Super Duty, 5 weeks of production, the weeks of 9/30 through 10/28. Again, they make a note in here about 6.8 liter orders. We don't need to know about that. 24 model year Transit, scheduled for 5 weeks, 9/30 to 10/28. And let's talk about specialty scheduling here. 24 Mustang Dark Horse. They are balanced out in October. Same weeks, 9/30 to 10/28. No handling package, it says. So if you don't have your schedule with a handling package, it's not going to be a 24 Mustang Dark Horse, because they're done. 24 Ranger Raptor, 5 weeks of production, 9/30 through 10/28. 24 F-150 Raptor and Raptor R, 5 weeks balance out scheduling for Raptor, the weeks of 10/7 through 11/4. And again, that mix is 801A 70%, 802A 30%. And then Bronco Raptor scheduled 5 weeks, 9/30 through 10/28. And it does say in here, Heritage Limited Edition is done. It says May 24 wholesale was the last Heritage Limited Edition wholesale. So that would have been last month or the month before. Anyway, there you go. All right, there's that. So if you're on with the live stream with us live, we can take your questions live. If not, if you're watching this recorded on the Wednesday night broadcast video, then go ahead and drop those down in the comments and we'll get back to you. So